Thank you for listening to this podcast from TRE, Talk Radio Europe, your voice in Spain and around the world. For more information, please visit TRE.radio.
Live on Eire, presented by Ger Sweeney.
It seems kind of weird not to be able to refer to the last song that Howard plays, because his choice of music is always wonderful. Not that Hannah's Beatles wasn't. Hannah, thank you very much indeed for the last 2 hours. TRE in the afternoon. Hannah is back with us tomorrow for her final time this week for Thursday's TRE in the afternoon. Well, good evening. Or is it still good afternoon? Yeah, it's a kind of a dodgy old time of the day, isn't it? You don't know whether it is evening. I suppose, you know, when it's dark at 6 o'clock in the evening, you kind of say good night or good evening. But when it's bright, the tendency is still there to say good afternoon. Anyway, hello and welcome to Live on Eire. An hour earlier this week and for the next 4 weeks, because Howard is on a break. Yes, a well-deserved break, and hopefully he is enjoying it as well. I have got what I think is a lovely programme lined up for you this evening, and I hope that you will stay with me until 8 o'clock to enjoy that. And if you don't, well then, if you miss any of it, you can catch it on the catch-up on TRE.radio, our website. Patricia is going to be joining us. She hasn't joined us for a few weeks now, and the last time that she was with me, I said that it was the final story in the series that she was presenting in relation to film locations around the island of Ireland, and she's starting a brand new series this evening. What is it? It's a series on hidden treasures. Yeah. All right. So that's it. In this hour, we're going to be talking or listening to Patricia telling us about hidden treasures. I'm not going to tell you any more, but it's a brand new series. Looking forward to that. And there are 6 episodes in this series of it. Second hour of the programme, we're going to County Kerry, to Tarbert in particular. Tarbert Historical and Heritage Society is represented by Patrick Lynch on the programme this evening. And Patrick and I are going to be talking about a lady who was born over 100 years ago in Tarbert. She left there and she went to be a nurse. I think it was London. We'll find out for sure. But then she ended up in Pakistan. And not only did she end up in Pakistan, which was smashing for her, she got married and she had a family, but she went on to become the first female MP in the Pakistani Parliament. Yeah, from a very small little spot in County Kerry on the Kerry-Limerick border. So Patrick Lynch is going to tell us about this lady. Her name in Ireland is Bridie Wren. She was known as something else in Pakistan, and we'll tell you all about that in the second hour of the programme. I've picked up some bits and pieces of news that I'll bring to you as well. And as always, if you'd like to get involved in the programme, you're more than welcome to do so. You can send a WhatsApp message to +34 645 99 67 95, or you can send an email to studio@tre.radio. For listeners who don't know me, who don't stay around to listen in until 7 o'clock, it's nice to have your company if you're new to the programme. And I am on the west coast of Ireland. It's been a while since I was in Spain, yes, but it's just too hot. I couldn't be doing it. I couldn't be dealing with that. I'm looking out the window now at a very overcast afternoon or evening. It's just after 5 o'clock in Ireland, and I hung the washing out there at about 4:15. And I said, sure, we'll get an hour or two out of it. So I'm hoping the rain will stay away for an hour or two. There's a grand breeze, so hopefully they'll dry off. But anyway, that's where I'm located, and it's nice and cool, and hopefully you are where you are as well. So there we go. Obviously, there's great celebrations across Ireland, because we have something like 7 medals now, don't we? We have 4 golds and 3 silvers in 3 bronze in the Olympics. As far as I know, that's the total at the moment. I'm not the biggest fan, to be honest, no. And I haven't seen very much of it, but I do know that there are vast numbers of people who are celebrating and enjoying very much watching all of the disciplines in the Olympics, and continued success to everybody who's taking part there. And there won't be much information on the Olympics unless something happens between now and the end of the programme that it would be urgent to bring to you. But suffice to say that everybody is so proud of all of the achievements of our athletes, whether they have medals or whether they don't have medals, and it certainly is something that is taking up a lot of conversation and a lot of space in Irish society at the moment. The other one was opened by President Michael D. Higgins on Sunday evening. He officially opened Fleadh Cheoil na hÉireann 2024 in Wexford. and it's the first time that the festival has been held in the town. In front of a crowd of thousands on the quay in Wexford, President Higgins said that the Fleadh is one of the most important festivals because it draws together all the different aspects of Irish culture, singing, instrumental music, dance and storytelling. The festival is going to run for a week, and organisers expect 500,000 people to visit Wexford over the coming days. It is a huge event. We had it in Ennis a number of years ago for 2 years. They usually bring it to a location for 2 years in a row, and it is worth gazillions to the area, but there's a lot of work that has to go in to actually getting it. When you consider the population, let's say, of Ennis is about around 20,000 people, and we had something in the region of 400 to 500,000 people visit. So you're talking about, you know, the infrastructure needed for that kind of an influx of people. Anyway, there's going to be 15,000 musicians, dancers, singers and storytellers from diverse communities across the country performing and competing at the Fleadh. There is a traffic management plan in place in Wexford town with diversions, street closures and park and ride routes for visitors, along with extra public transport services. There will be around 1,000 volunteers to help visitors find their way around the many sessions. That will include pub and street corners with dancing, singing and lots of céilí bands as well. This year's theme is Fleadh for All. Organisers Ceoltas Ceoltóirí Éireann, along with Wexford County Council, hope that this reflects the event's inclusive nature. They say that seasoned attendees and first-time visitors are all very welcome to Wexford. If you're heading off in that direction, do enjoy. If you happen to be heading on the boat, by the way, from Bilbao in northern Spain across to Rosslare, just be mindful is that you're going to be travelling, once you get off the ferry in Rosslare, you're going to be skirting the city or the town of Wexford, and there will be traffic diversions and there will be maybe a hold up or 2 or 3. So just bear that in mind and be patient when you get off the ferry. When we get off the ferry, it is always great. You just want to put the foot down and go, don't you? And get to where you're going to. Well, there you go. Well, I'm heading to Rosslare on Friday evening. So we've already, I've already issued the instructions that we have to leave a little bit earlier than we normally would, to be sure that we make the ferry on Friday night. But sure, that's, as the man says, Shin Scéal Ella, another story. There's a lot of talk as well about a general election, and if you've been listening to Live on Eire over recent times, you will know that I am very much of the feeling that we are going to have a general election in November of this year. That seems to be where the sensible money is being put. We don't have to have one until next March, but logic would suggest that it's going to be November. And I see that major parties say that female candidates will have to be imposed from headquarters as selection conventions continue to choose men for election. Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil are stepping up their selections for the next general election, with meetings scheduled through August and September, heightening the likelihood of an autumn election. But the next general election will have to see parties field a gender quota of 40% for each sex. At the same time, female contenders are more reluctant to come forward, partly because of the disproportionate level of abuse to which they are subjected compared to men. There are large fines if a party does not meet the 40% gender rule, and the government members say that they will meet the criterion, with Sinn Féin, the Greens and Labour Party already on target. Last week, Councillors John Paul O'Shea and Michael Creed were selected by Fine Gael in Cork North West, while the party also opted for Senator Tim Lombard and Councillor Noel O'Donovan in Cork South West. Social Democrats leader Holly Kearns is currently the only female TD in the county of Cork, where there are 18 Dáil seats. Fianna Fáil has 2 male TDs in Cork North West, Michael and Andreas Moynihan, and will go with both incumbents apparently. Party headquarters insist that the gender quota law will not affect strategy in individual constituencies, yet there's growing acceptance that impositions will have to be made and could affect detailed vote transfer plans within contests. Indeed it will. Again, remembering that our system is not first past the post, it is proportional representation. One strategist said that incumbents were more likely to be male, but incumbents would be run again where they were willing to stand in order to retain the seats. Parties are also targeting constituencies where they either lost a seat last time out or came close, which is where female candidates could be preferred. The current Dáil only has 37 women elected to 160 seats on offer, a rate of just over 23%. Ireland ranks 22nd in 27 of the EU in terms of female participation. Fine Gael has now selected 26 general election candidates in 16 constituencies, but is running behind the gender quota. It may not be as big a deal for Fine Gael because they have already about 16 sitting TDs, incumbents, who have said that they're not running. So it's an ideal opportunity for them to put female candidates in place if they were minded to do so. Anyway. What else was I going to say to you? Yes, of 16 Fianna Fáil candidates, which have been selected already, only 4 are female, that's 25%. Taoiseach Micheál Martin, who is the leader of Fianna Fáil, says that all candidates must be selected before the end of October and has told senior party figures to work through this month. Another sign that the Fianna Fáil leader will not resist any desire by Taoiseach Simon Harris to go to the country after the October 1st budget. A significant factor is that only a Taoiseach can seek a dissolution of the Dáil from the President, thereby endangering a general election. Yet sources are adamant that Mr Harris would not dream of doing so without the agreement of Mr Martin. Monday's Irish Independent revealed that Fianna Fáil's General Secretary Sean Dorgan and his deputy Dara McShea have been calling in sitting deputies for interviews in recent weeks to test their readiness for a snap poll. They've been questioned on when they last did a leaflet drop, when the next one is scheduled, if they will be maintaining their clinics during the month of August, which is traditionally a holiday month, and about local organisational readiness and finances. They're putting the fear of God into people who thought that they were just going on holiday before the Dáil comes back, one interviewee said. Fianna Fáil is vigorously implementing the recommendations of an election review carried out by Sean Fleming TD following a disappointing result last time out. Insiders say that Fianna Fáil is on an election footing and believe the campaign will be in November, even though both Mr Martin and Mr Harris continue to insist that it is government's intention to complete its mandate, meaning the election could be held as late as next March. I know that today I saw that there are 3 Fianna Fáil candidates being put forward in the Clare constituency where I live. That would be Cathal Crowe, who is the sitting TD, the only sitting Fianna Fáil TD. Timmy Dooley, who is a Fianna Fáil senator who lost his seat last time round in the Dáil but was put into the Senate. And a recently elected poll topper in the county council elections, Rita McInerney from Doombeg back in West Clare. So you've got 2 men, 1 woman who are looking for 2 seats because we have a 4-seater here. And there's one Michael McNamara is gone to Europe. They say he's not going to run in this election, so that's fine. And the Sinn Féin seat is very unlikely to be refilled. The Sinn Féin candidate who won a seat in the last election is now an independent candidate and not rated very highly. So chances are there's going to be a fight for 3 seats because one of the sitting Fine Gael TD is expected not to run in this constituency. So there we go. Fun and games ahead. Sure, I love it. Can't wait. Let's have some music for you this evening. Here's Niall McCabe. It's a song called Darker Love. It's live on Eire, earlier than usual. Welcome along.
I gotta build my fences high, too high for you to see me cry, high enough to block out you, too high for you to see my point of view, and still the smell in your backyard, your children crying and your dogs bark, you're singing and your music tracks come through the wall, coming through the cracks, and I don't wanna hear your song, oh you and I can't sing along, I'd rather hear a pretty lie, oh I'd rather let the music die, must be darker love, darker love, darker love, through the night. You tell us all just what to do, yeah, but Jesus, he could never follow you, and no one ever cared so much. Your silver tongue and golden touch, you love everything and everyone, but you love like a soldier with a loaded gun. Must be a darker love, a darker love, darker love, a darker love. Must be a darker love that my daddy gave to me. It must be a darker love, a darker love, darker love, a darker love. Must be a darker love than what we're used to seeing. La 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la la la. A mountain before us and a jungle behind. It's a tangle of vines or a hill to climb, so get in line. River behind me and an ocean ahead. You say I can't win and I can't swim, but I'm going. It must be a darker love, a darker love, a darker love, a darker love. Must be a darker love that my mama gave to me. It must be a darker love, a darker love, a darker love, a darker love. Must be a darker love than what we're used to see. It must be a darker love, a darker love, a darker love, a darker love that my daddy gave to me.
That's nice, isn't it? It's called Darker Love. It's a new single and it comes from Niall McCabe. Good to have your company on this Wednesday. It is the first Wednesday in August. It's the 7th of August. And yeah, indeed, looking forward to being with you until 8 o'clock. Patricia will be along in this hour. And in the second hour, as I told you, I am going to be talking to a man from Tarbert in County Kerry. Patrick Lynch is going to join me from the Tarbert Historical and Heritage Society to talk to me about a local girl. Her name is Bridie Wren, and her name was Bridie Wren. And if you were listening at the top of the programme, I told you all about it. You'll hear from Patrick between 6 and 7 this evening. So looking forward to between 7 and 8. See, I'm getting confused. Between 7 and 8, second hour of the programme. All right, there we go. All right, so listen, I need to do a quick break. Back in just a moment.
Live on Eire, presented by Ger Sweeney.
I must let you know as well, just in case you're interested, I'm going to be here on Friday afternoon between 2 and 4. I'm going to be sitting in for Alan T for the Friday conversation. In fact, I'm in for the next 3 Fridays for him. And I have something nice lined up for you for this week. And I'm working on the other 2 weeks at the moment. One of them is something I'm really hoping I can manage to pull off. And we'll tell you more about that in the next wee while. All right. Now, yes, social media. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of one of the evils now, isn't it? It's turned from something that was very nice into something that has potential to be not so nice. But I see that executives at social media companies will be held personally accountable for harmful content on their platforms under new codes of conduct due later this year. Comisiún na Man, which is Ireland's new media regulator, is working on a code of conduct for social media companies, which will be in place by the end of the year. That's according to Taoiseach Simon Harris. Mr. Harris said that Ireland was ahead of many other European countries in our work in relation to this, and later this year you'll see binding codes in place that will hit these companies where it hurts if they don't abide by the code, which is in the pocket, and will also have the ability to hold directors personally responsible, because essentially these social media companies are not actually faceless. as people who make a hell of a lot of money, he said, from them. And that's fine, but they also need to abide by the laws of the land and accept their responsibility. There's a reason why he is so adamant about this. He was asked about a threat made to him and his family via an Instagram post at the weekend. The social media platform took 2 days to remove the post, despite a request by An Garda Síochána. While the Taoiseach would not be drawn on the threats made to him personally, he said it is totally unacceptable that any media platform, digital, online or print, would allow a threat towards anybody remain for a significant period of time. Because one of the concerns that I think not just I have, he said, but I think right across the country people have, is the speed at which information gets shared online. Mr. Harris said that speaking to parents in his own constituency of County Wicklow, cyberbullying was a huge problem for their children. So there is responsibility that online media providers have to make sure that they act with speed and, quite frankly, in a general sense. They're not living up to that obligation at all. It's just utterly unacceptable that any post towards any person, young, old, public figure, private figure, inciting violence would be left there for a period of time because, as you know, it's not just that it stays there in a static location. It gets shared and shared and shared hundreds and hundreds and thousands of times in some locations. Mr. Harris said that he would convene a meeting of the various stakeholders in the short term to see what could be done or what more could be done. Now, earlier today, Minister for Justice Helen McEntee said it is absolutely imperative that social media companies take threats to anyone seriously and that such content is removed as quickly as possible. See, there's that word, as possible. Speaking on RTE's Morning Ireland, Miss McEntee said it was absolutely appalling that any kind of a threat would be made against the Taoiseach, but in particular that his wife and children would also be included in that threat. Whether it's a threat made online or in person, it's no less serious, nor is it taken any less seriously, the minister added. Meta, the company which owns Instagram, has now removed the content for violating its policies and is investigating. On the approach by social media companies to handling threats, Miss McEntee said that the era of self-regulation is over. Hurrah, I say to that. She said that Ireland is now one of the few countries to have an online safety commissioner, and their role and sole focus is to make sure that where there is harmful and illegal content online, that social media companies play their part, and where they don't, that there are serious penalties imposed. She added that Coimisiún na Man has been established recently and is working through a code of practice which will be finalised or fully implemented by the end of the year. The minister said that Gardaí do work closely with social media companies and that while there has been engagement, more remains to be done. The difficulty I think that the Irish government have in particular is that Ireland is the home, is the base, the European base for companies like Meta and indeed what's the Twitter one called, and yeah, so they have a difficulty there because of the amount of taxation that they're getting as well from these companies, but certainly things need to be addressed. Here's a girl called Laura Elizabeth Hughes. It's a song that's called In My Defence. It's not new, but it's good.
Ritual, habitual, it was a foregone conclusion. No backbone, I'm a girl gone. Take me back to the ocean. Cause casually we're bartering lines that we are crossing. And this free fall was a wrong call, only ignited the emotion. I'm waiting on a train to pass, to feel the rush of air across my body. I was holding on for you. I took at the past, it increases. A breeze calls to these four walls, oh, to pick up the pieces. And that last time we had spoken, I was straddling the rail tracks, the thunder, emotion moving on up through my back. I'm waiting on a train to pass, to feel the rush of air across my body, knowing that the moment won't last. I breathe it in, I breathe it in, I breathe it in, I breathe it in. I brought a stick to a brick fight. I had a hope that was childlike. In my defense, I was holding on for you. I took a star to a war zone, watched eyes wide as it implodes. And in my defense, I was holding on for you, for you. I had hope like a child of more, like a child, and the child in me saw the good in you. I had hope like a child of more, like a child, and the child in me saw the good in you. I brought a stick to a brick fight, had a hope that was childlike. In my defense, I was holding on for you. I took a star to a war zone, I watched eyes wide as it implodes. And in my defense, I was holding on for you, for you. For
It's called In My Defence. It comes from Laura Elizabeth Hughes. I'm going to take a very quick break. Don't go anywhere, please, because just when this is over, I'm going to introduce you to Patricia Traynor.
Live on Eire, presented by Ger Sweeney.
And I must say good afternoon or good evening to Jim Cooney and his wife Mary. They are the owners of Marbella Home Selectors, our sponsors on the programme. And if you were listening a few weeks ago, you will know that Jim was in Ireland and he made the trip from County Waterford all the way to County Clare just to meet me. And we had a chat on the Friday conversation a couple of weeks ago as well, which was lovely. It was great to meet him. So I just thought I'd say good evening to Jim and to Mary in the hopes that you're tuned in this afternoon or this evening, whether you're in Waterford or whether you're in Marbella. Nice to have you company if you are. Now, what else have I got to tell you? Yes, Patricia Traynor, she hasn't been with us for a couple of weeks. Patricia tells us stories. She's a great lady for the stories and she themes her stories. And she's going to start her 21st series of stories today. I imagine 24, and there's about 21 series and there's about 6 in each one. So you can do the sums from there. Some have 7, some have 5, but there's around 6 in each one. And she's starting a brand new series tonight. And I want to introduce her to you. So now, Patricia Traynor, welcome back to the programme after a couple of weeks' absence. And let's see what we have in store this evening.
Well, hello, Ger. Today we're going to begin our series called Ireland's Hidden Treasures. And the first place we're going to look at are the boglands. Now, smells bring back memories. I'll never forget the lovely smell of a turf fire. I was fortunate enough to spend several summers in the Gaeltach in Lochanure in County Donegal. The Gaeltach is a place where only Irish is spoken and school children go there to learn Irish. I had won a scholarship to go there for a month during the summer holidays. Unbelievable as it may sound, I shared a room with 7 other girls. Another room was shared by 8 more girls. That meant we were 16 girls all together in a 3-roomed house. Not a 3-bedroomed house, no, a 3-roomed house. The Banatee, which means the woman of the house, slept with her little 6-year-old son in the main room, which was kitchen and dining room, as well as bedroom for the Banatee and her little son. An older son lived in a house in the nearby town, but he came to cut turf in the field in front of the house I was staying in. He had a special kind of rectangular spade called a slan for cutting the rectangular sods of peat out of the ground and then piling them up in such a way that they would dry in the persistent wind which always seemed to be blowing. Turf was used for both heating and cooking in the houses of Lochinure. The smell of freshly baked soda bread was enhanced with the smell of the turf. Turf bogs were an important source of energy in those days. But today, turf cutting has been curtailed as a measure designed to avert climate change. However, turf bogs are ecologically important because they absorb a great amount of precipitation and so prevent flooding. They receive their water directly from the rain rather than from lakes or groundwater. Bogs are ombotrophic, that is, they accumulate peat as a deposit of dead plants such as sphagnum mosses, reeds, sedges and heather. These bogs are homes to treasures of thousands of years ago. Treasures such as chalices, hoards of gold, even a medieval psalter, and most surprising of all, bog butter, which was found to be 2,000 years old. Now, why would anyone want to hide butter in a bog? Well, there are various theories. For instance, it may have been used as a votive offering to pacify the pagan gods. Or maybe the bog acted as a kind of fridge to preserve the butter, and maybe even to improve its flavour. Butter was also a valuable commodity to pay taxes, and maybe it was placed in the bog to hide it from thieves. But not only butter went into the bogs, preserved human bodies have also been found in the bogs. They're referred to as bog bodies. The oldest body to be found in Ireland is Cashel Man. He dates back to 2000 BC. That means 4,000 years ago in the early Bronze Age. So that means he was even 400 years older than Tutankhamun. As his name indicates, he was found in a bog near Cashel, County Laois, on the 16th of August 2011. The man who found him was Jason Phelan, who worked for Bord na Móna. It's probable that Cashel Man was of the nobility and had been sacrificed in a ritual ceremony before being buried in the bog. In those days, it was the king's fault if there was a bad harvest, or a drought, or a plague. He was held responsible by the community and was sacrificed during the inauguration ceremony of a new king. Investigations show Cashel Man had been a young man of somewhere between 20 and 25. He is particularly important as he was discovered with both his skin and hair intact. The bog is an anaerobic environment where the oxygen that bacteria feed off is not present, and so decomposition does not take place. However, the bog destroys DNA, and so it's not possible for anyone living today to claim to be a descendant of Cashel Man. In 1934, Patrick Caulfield, a school teacher from Belderrig, was out cutting turf when he suddenly came across some very large stones lying in long lines. He knew he had stumbled upon something important and so contacted the National Museum in Dublin. Unfortunately, at that time, the museum did not have the resources to investigate further. But almost 30 years later, in 1983, Patrick's son Seamus and a team of archaeologists carried out a thorough search of the area using traditional iron bars to dig deep into the bog. They unearthed foundations of domestic dwellings which gave us information as to how people adapted to their environment. They also found Neolithic tools like scrapers and arrowheads. Carbon dating proves the site existed nearly 6,000 years ago. The fact is, they uncovered some of the oldest known stone-walled fields in the world. And when I say old, I mean they dated from about 3,800 BC, which makes them older than the pyramids of Egypt, though the pyramids of Egypt are 2,550 BC, and even older than Stonehenge, which dates from 3,500 BC. These stone-walled fields, known as Cady Fields or Achaheji, which means flat-topped hill fields. Patrick Cofield's grandson, Declan, has a company called Belderrig Valley Experience, which organises excursions around the bogland where the walls were first found. Many local farmers would avoid disturbing a ring of stones, as they believe it would bring them bad luck. People say that hares, which are frequently seen running across the boglands, know where buried treasure lies. The boglands are places of mystery where, on a dark night, you can see will-o'-the-wisp, that is, a light dancing on the bog in the distance. Legend has it that it is the spirit of the dead luring the unsuspecting traveller into the treacherous marshes where they could easily get stuck. The Irish writer Bram Stoker mentions will-o'-the-wisp in his famous book Dracula. He was very familiar with the boglands in Ireland, and Count Dracula in the book mentions the local people's belief that these strange bog lights indicate where treasure is buried. The boglands conjure up mystery and imagination, and the stories about them are passed from generation to generation. A more pragmatic scientific explanation is that the will-o'-the-wisp generally floats on the spontaneous ignition of hydrocarbon gases emitted by the decaying peat. Many people have lost their lives on the bogs, some attempting to make their way home on a cold, dark winter's night by taking a shortcut across the treacherous swamps and maybe falling off the safe pathway. There's something addictive about the bogs. They attract poets and writers who find inspiration in the smells, the sounds, and the eerie silence of these dark, mysterious links to the past and their hidden treasures. They are both symbols of life and of death. Seamus Heaney wrote a series of bog poems where he expresses his horror of those ancient pagan rituals and relates them to some of the harsh punishments which were meted out to anyone fraternising with the enemy during the times of the Troubles. His poems are a human protest against the barbarity of the violence embedded in the images of ritual killing. Seamus Heaney also mentions the great Irish elk in his poem Bogland, when he infers that they have dismantled history and heritage. They here probably refers to the invaders who had removed the remains of the Irish elk from the peat bogs in Ireland. The elk, having been exposed to the air, will eventually disintegrate. By unearthing it, Heaney sees this as removing a layer of Irish history and putting it on display as a fossil. The last elk in Ireland died about 11,000 years ago, but the National Museum of Ireland has one of the largest and most complete elk skeleton collections in the world. Definitely worth a visit. Mind you, you won't have difficulty finding them. Elks have extremely large antlers of almost 14 feet wide, and they are on display throughout the museum.
bog there was a hole, a rare hole, a rattling hole, hole in the bog and the bog down in the valley, oh. Oh, roll the rattling bog, the bog down in the valley, oh. Oh, roll the rattling bog, the bog down in the valley, oh. And in that hole there was a tree, a rare tree, a rattling tree, tree in the hole, in the hole in the bog and the bog down in the valley, oh. Oh, roll the rattling bog, the bog down in the valley, oh. Oh, roll the rattling bog, the bog down in the valley, oh. And on that tree there was a branch, a rare branch, a rattling branch, branch in a tree, in the hole, in the hole in the bog and the bog down in the valley, oh. Oh, roll the rattling bog, the bog down in the valley, oh. Oh, roll the rattling bog, the bog down in the valley, oh. And on that branch there was a twig, a rare twig, a rattling twig, twig in the branch, in the branch, in the tree, in the hole, in the hole in the bog and the bog down in the valley, oh. Oh, roll the rattling bog, the bog down in the valley, oh. Oh, roll the rattling bog, the bog down in the valley, oh. And on that twig there was a leaf, a rare leaf, a rattling leaf, leaf and a twig, and a twig, and a branch, and a branch, and a tree, in the hole, in the bog and the bog down in the valley, oh. Oh, roll the rattling bog, the bog down in the valley, oh. Oh, roll the rattling bog, the bog down in the valley, oh. And on that leaf there was a nest, a rare nest, a rattling nest, nest and a leaf, and a leaf, and a twig, and a twig, and a branch, and a branch, and a tree, in the hole, in the bog and the bog down in the valley, oh. Oh, roll the rattling bog, the bog down in the valley, oh. Oh, roll the rattling bog, the bog down in the valley, oh. And in that nest there was an egg, a rare egg, a rattling egg, egg in the nest, and the nest, and the leaf, and the leaf, and the twig, and the twig, and the branch, and the branch, and the tree, in the hole, in the hole, in the bog, and the bog down in the valley, oh. Oh, roll the rattling bog, the bog down in the valley, oh. Oh, roll the rattling bog, the bog down in the valley, oh. And in that egg there was a bird, a rare bird, a rattling bird, bird in the egg, and the nest, and the nest, and the leaf, and the leaf, and the twig, and the branch, and the branch, and the tree, in the hole, in the bog, and the bog down in the valley, oh. Oh, roll the rattling bog, the bog down in the valley, oh. Oh, roll the rattling bog, the bog down in the valley, oh. And on that bird there was a wing, a rare wing, a rattling wing, wing in the bird, and the bird, and the egg, and the nest, and the nest, and the leaf, and the leaf, and the twig, and the twig, and the branch, and the branch, and the tree, in the hole, in the bog, and the bog down in the valley, oh. Oh, roll the rattling bog, the bog down in the valley, oh. Oh, roll the rattling bog, the bog down in the valley, oh. And on that wing there was a feather, a rare feather, a rattling feather, a feather in the wing, and the wing, and the bird, and the egg, and the nest, and the nest, and the leaf, and the leaf, and the twig, and the twig, and the branch, and the branch, and the tree, in the hole, in the bog, and the bog down in the valley, oh. Oh, roll the rattling bog, the bog down in the valley, oh. Oh, roll the rattling bog, the bog down in the valley, oh. Oh, roll the rattling bog, the bog down in the valley, oh. Oh, roll the rattling bog, the bog down in the valley, oh.
You remember the nights when you were on the dance floor dancing to things like that, knowing that you shouldn't be. The heart just wasn't up for it, but you still did it anyway. Rula Boolia, that's what they call themselves. They're a 5-piece band, and they're based in the Midlands. Shane Lynham is in there, Jack Godley, Niall Kelly, Cathal Guinan, and there's one other missing, Sean Burke. That's right, Sean is on banjo. They make a savage sound, don't they? Absolutely. And I had visions of myself dancing somewhere to that. Full of porter, of course. And why not? Patricia, thank you very much indeed for your story. It was the obvious song to play. That's kind of like, I always think about that song as the Irish version of There Was an Old Woman Who Swallowed a Fly, you know, and she swallowed the bird and the cat and the dog and the horse and anyway, she's dead, of course. Anyway, so I always look upon it that way. But thank you to Patricia for starting her 21st series this evening with us. And she's going to be talking to us about hidden treasures. And today it was the treasures, the boglands. And God, they are treasures. Absolutely treasures. So thanks a million. And as always, can I remind you that we have a podcast series of all of those. Literally, I just put them up there, and they have been accessed and listened to by almost 100,000 people in the space of 2.5-3 years. Yeah. So phenomenal response to it. If we were charging, they wouldn't be listening. It's always the way, isn't it? Yeah, but Patricia, thank you for the effort that you put in. As always, I look forward to hearing your next story in the next number of weeks. I have to do a quick break. Come back to me in just a moment, please.
Live on Eire, presented by Ger Sweeney.
Oh, we nearly have the first hour done. Doesn't time fly when you're having fun? Do you remember at the start I said I was hoping it wouldn't rain because I had the washing out? Yeah, well, it's not raining, but it's one of those horrible heavy drizzles. And it's like as if the cloud is down at the top of the trees there at the back garden. But so look, tomorrow is another day, or there might be a gust of wind before darkness and it might dry them. You'd never know. When Bishop Richard Ledred first started compiling the Red Book of Ossory, little did he ever expect that the manuscript would survive 700 years of wars, plagues and famine, to be returned to its home city of Kilkenny and put on display centuries later in the year 2024. The Red Book, named for its dyed red sheepskin cover, provides a journey through time by offering a glimpse into medieval Ireland through the lens of Bishop Ledred, who held the see of Ossory from 1317 to 1360. Bishop Ledred, a complex man of both faith and science, kept an account of everything he thought was important in the Red Book. Among its pages, he recorded the first recipe of aqua vitae, known today as whiskey. The Irish for whiskey is Ishkabaha, which is the water of life. The early provisions of the Magna Carta, which was a principle that sought to prevent the king from exploiting his power, and the events which led to the first witch trials in Ireland. The Red Book, which is essentially a piece of living history, is among a small number of medieval manuscripts to have survived the test of time. The Very Reverend Stephen Farrell, Dean of Ossory, said that it is almost unfathomable that the book is here, saying that it is miraculous that it survived. Only 2% of medieval manuscripts survived, and of those that did survive, only a further 2% of that body are in the original binding. The Red Book has both survived and is also in its original leather binding, which is quite incredible. Although the book has been read by centuries worth of eyes, this is the first time in history that the book has been put on public display. The book has survived the Reformation. It survived Cromwell, who stationed his horses in St. Canice's Cathedral in Kilkenny, where the book was written and kept. It survived centuries where people probably didn't exactly know what it was or how important it was. To be here now on display for the first time in the book's 700-year history is wonderful. And Dean Farrell's his hope is that the people of Kilkenny will take it into their hearts and see it as an important part of their story and history. The return of the Red Book to St. Canice's Cathedral brings the city's history to life as a window into Bishop Ledred's mind. The book provides an eyewitness account of life in the 14th century Kilkenny. The 14th century was a time of turmoil as the Black Death ravaged Europe. Kilkenny City did not escape its clutches as scores of its citizens succumbed to the disease. Bishop Ledred witnessed firsthand the devastation that the plague had on the city. As see of Ossory, he saw it as his duty to protect the people of Kilkenny. He understood that in order to protect the people in his care, he had to not just be a man of faith, but a man of forefront of scientific thought. Sounds like a fascinating man. I am not leaving that story there. No way. No way. I've already started. I only found that an hour before I went on air, and I've already started digging, looking for somebody to talk to me about that. In fact, if I could get Stephen Farrell, it'd be great.
Space, because I need this space, because I love this space, because it's happening. And in the darkness of my tears, I can feel it lifting my feet, and you seem closer to me. It's happening.
Time, because because I have the time, because I love this time, because it's happening. And if the darkness is so scary, why is it so necessary? For this we have night and day. All that I thought I was longing for, it faded away. All of the dreams that I dreamed I would build, they faded away. All of the things I've been living with have changed, because it's happening.
Love, because I have the love.
Love, because I love to love.
Love, because it's happening. And in the darkness of my tears, I can feel it lifting my feet, and you seem closer to me.
All that I thought I was longing for, it faded away. All of the dreams that I dreamed I would build, they faded away.
All of the things I've been living with have changed, because it's happening.
That's a lady calling herself Daughter of a Drum. Justin Vivian Bond in there as well. New single, it's called Space. That's it for the first hour. We're off to Tarbert in County Kerry in the second hour. More details
Live
just
on
after
Eire,
news.
presented by Ger Sweeney.
Welcome to the second hour of the programme on this Wednesday evening. I'm normally only starting the programme at this time, but for the month of August, because Howard is away, I am starting earlier, starting at 6 p.m. Central European time. That is 5 p.m. if you're in Ireland, which means that in Spain right now it's just after 7, and in Ireland it's just after 6. It's just after 6 in the UK as well. My guest on this hour of the programme is Patrick Lynch. Patrick is from the Tarbert Historical and Heritage Society, and he's going to talk to me about a local girl called Bridie Wren. And we'll find out more about Bridie. She was born over 100 years ago in Tarbert, and recently there was a commemoration ceremony. And I'll tell you more about that when we're talking with Patrick. So that's coming up in this hour. I've also got other bits and pieces of news for you. And speaking of news, a story that broke literally in the last 5 minutes. The head of an inquiry that spent 7 years investigating the activities of a man believed to have been the highest ranking British Army agent within the IRA has revealed that the security service MI5 did not disclose all the information it held about him before its findings were published earlier this year. Imagine a British security service not doing what it was asked to. And that's just daft. You would never have thought that. There's more to that story. I haven't read it, but I will read it, and I will bring it to you before the end of the programme. You may recall that I was joined on the programme by Richard O'Raw a number of months ago. He wrote a book about Steak Knife, Freddie Scapitici, and it was a fascinating, hugely fascinating interview. And in fact, if you want to hear that again, I'll point you in the direction when I'm talking about this a little later on. Okay, so that's that. So you know who's coming up in this hour. We've got a bit of news for you. Other bits of news that I've picked up along the way. Oh, I'm a right nosy individual altogether. I like to pick up news for you. The government Irish government, that is, has approved proposals to give judges... Oh, sorry, before I move on, can I just remind you that if you want to get in touch, you can send a WhatsApp message to the studio, but I have access to it at +34 645 99 67 95, or you can send an email to studio@tre.radio. And just in case you want to send an email to me directly at any stage, 24/7, I'm available at Ger, G-E-R, at tre.radio. So, as I said, the government has approved proposals to give judges the discretion to recommend minimum jail terms for those sentenced to life imprisonment. Treason and murder are subject to mandatory life sentences in Ireland. Life imprisonment may also be imposed for a range of other serious offences, including rape, attempted murder and assault causing serious harm. The draft laws propose that when sentences are being handed down, judges will make a recommendation on what minimum terms should be served in prison before parole is granted. The parole board will be required to take that recommendation into account in making its decisions. It will be a non-binding recommendation, and the parole board will continue to be responsible for deciding when a person will be released. A prisoner will not be automatically released after the judicially recommended minimum has been served. Justice Minister Helen McEntee published the general scheme of the draft laws called the Life Sentences Bill 2024 yesterday. It will now be referred to the Joint Oireachtas Committee on Justice for pre-legislative scrutiny, I should say. The Department of Justice is to engage with the Office of Parliamentary Counsel to progress the drafting of the bill. Ms McEntee said that the bill will provide for sentencing courts to reflect the gravity of the most heinous offences. Judges will be able to recommend minimum terms of 25 or 30 years, or even longer where that is warranted, she said. She went on to say that she is determined that the judiciary has access to a range of sentencing options to ensure that the punishment people receive matches the crime that they have committed. People who commit the most serious crimes should be dealt with in a way that reflects their culpability and the harm that they have caused. Last year, the maximum penalty for assaulting, causing harm, one of the most commonly prosecuted violent offences, was increased from 5 years to 10 years. The maximum sentence for assaulting Gardaí and frontline workers were also increased from 7 to 12 years. New standalone offences of non-fatal strangulation and stalking were also introduced by Ms McEntee. Taoiseach Simon Harris said that the bill marked an important step forward in strengthening laws in order to deal with serious crimes. You'd wonder, is it all kind of just powder and puff, wouldn't you? Because they're making the recommendations, so the judge doesn't have to abide by that. And even if the judge does, then the parole board are still the people that have the final say, which is the case now. So you'd wonder, is it all about the election? We'll see once it's published, and we'll see what teeth it has, and take a listen to the various sides in the Oireachtas and see what they have to say all about it. Here's a man that's had an interesting life. Most of his professional career, he's been a promoter, but now he's making music. Here's a fella called Bren Berry. Here's Come Alive.
Dream life in everyone, a light up in the summer sun. Green light is in everyone. I come alive when the music's on. Dream life we can call our own. Sweet
He makes good music. That's Bren Berry, a song that's called Come Alive. All right, I'm going to do a very quick break, and after that, I'm going to tell you more about that Operation Kenova report and steak knife and so on and so forth.
Live on Eire, presented by Ger Sweeney.
Talk Radio Europe.
Your voice in Spain.
Live on Eire, presented by Ger Sweeney.
Recently, the plaque was unveiled in Tarbert in County Kerry to a local woman. Her name was Bridie Wren, who, after working as a local nurse, went on to become a member. Oopsie-daisy. That was not meant to happen until a little later on, but there you go. Things are a little bit different this week because I'm sitting in for... I'm not sitting in for anybody. I'm here doing my own programme, but I'm an hour earlier, and so ad breaks are different, and I had to move things around and so on. Anyway, look, here we are. That has been stopped, and we can move on. I was just about to tell you that it was the 18th of October last year that I spoke to Richard O'Raw about his book, which documented basically... the Dirty War, steak knife, Freddie Scappaticci, the highest ranking mole within the IRA working for the British Security Services. And I wanted to flag with you as well, if you wanted to have an idea, we've talked on a couple of occasions about the British Security Services activities in the north of Ireland. And for us to think for 1 second that the Republic of Ireland wasn't involved in, or wasn't part of the campaign from Whitehall and elsewhere, we were pure daft if we thought that. And I read a book recently which is called The Puppet Masters, written by a Dublin-based barrister by the name of David Burke. A fabulous book, and it chronicles how MI6 orchestrated some of the biggest events in Irish history south of the border. And I have arranged with him to talk to him before the end of the month, and I'm very much looking forward to that. All right, so we'll do that. But I want to go back to this story. The head of an inquiry that spent 7 years investigating the activities of a man believed to have been the highest-ranking British Army agent within the IRA has revealed that the security service MI5 did not disclose all of the material it held about him before its findings were published earlier this year. Hundreds of pages of newly disclosed material about the agent, codenamed Steak Knife, appear to identify new investigative leads and could cast doubt on some of the evidence obtained by Operation Kenova. The inquiry was set up in 2016 to investigate the activities of Steak Knife and how he was managed by the security forces, including MI5. Freddie Scappaticci, a Belfast bricklayer who was the son of an Italian immigrant, was Steak Knife, a state agent within the IRA who was allowed to kill other IRA members, alleged to have been state agents with the knowledge of his handlers. He died in England last year while the huge investigation was taking place. Operation Kenova cost over £40 million sterling and investigated more than 100 murders and abductions, but has not resulted in a single prosecution. The commander of Operation Kenova, Ian Livingstone, has sent a letter setting out his concerns to Northern Secretary Hilary Benn, PSNI Chief Constable and former head of Operation Kenova, John Boucher, the Director of Northern Ireland Public Prosecution, and the head of MI5. That'll put the fear of God in him. Mr. Livingstone and Mr. Boucher have both previously publicly stated that they believed that they had been given unprecedented access to all intelligence material about Steak Knife. You don't know what you don't know, and in the back of one's mind there is always a concern there that there is material. Is there a file somewhere that hasn't been disclosed to us? I genuinely don't think that is the case, Mr. Livingstone told RTE News in an interview last May. He said, I think we have had unprecedented support from the agencies of the UK state, MI5, the Ministry of Defence, the PSNI in terms of RUC files. That view has now changed. I wonder. In his letter, Mr. Livingstone said the findings of the interim Kenova report, files submitted to the Public Prosecution Service, and information provided to families were all based on the understanding that Operation Kenova had been given full access to all MI5 files relating to the agent Steak Knife. He reveals that on the 8th of April, exactly 1 month after the findings of the investigation were published, he was informed that further relevant MI5 files had been found. Additional material has been discovered since then, and the searching is not yet complete. Mr. Livingston says it is of great concern that further material continues to be given to his team nearly 8 years after the investigation commenced. The letter says that he has instructed senior legal counsel to assess the new material received, adding that the initial assessment is that the new files contain significant new material which appear to point to new investigative leads that were not previously known. It adds, importantly, the material does not indicate further murders of individuals that involved the agent Steakknife, and as such, no further deaths would fall into the Operation Canova terms of reference based on the now disclosed material. However, the material does appear to cast doubt on some of the documents and witness evidence obtained by Canova and some statements made in the interim report. This includes information provided by the security service around the dates when they became aware of the agent Steakknife. In a statement today, Mr. Livingston said that based on an initial assessment, it appears that all the newly disclosed material relates solely to the activities of Steakknife and not other Canova investigations, including Operation Denton. Operation Denton is examining the activities of so-called Glenanne Gang, which was based in County Armagh and mid-Ulster during the Troubles. The gang included serving members of the RUC and the locally recruited British Army Regiment, the UDR, working alongside members of the loyalist paramilitary group, the UVF. The Denton inquiry is examining 127 killings linked to the gang, including the murder of 34 people, including one unborn child in the Dublin and Monaghan bombings of May 1974. Ian Livingston told RTE's Primetime in May of this year that he has no doubt there was collusion between the gang and the British security services. There'll be more on that, I would imagine, when I talk to David Burke about his book called The Puppet Masters, and that's coming up later this month, as I said to you. I did say to you as well, anything that I have produced on Live on Eire, many of the interviews that I've done or conversations that I've had, and even some of the conversations that I've had with people on other programs that I've sat in on that I felt would be worthy of another listen, I've put together on a podcast series as well. Again, there's no cost or no charge or no anything for it. It's just there for anybody that would like to listen. And it's always nice when I have somebody on the program, I make a podcast of it. I know that we do on TRE as well, but they move aside and they move down the line, and it's easier to find this way. And so I send people the link to it, and they can have it and they can use it and do what they like with it. If you would like to listen to any of those or just see what's there, you're more than welcome. Conversations with Ger Sweeney is what it's called. All right. Conversations with Ger Sweeney, and they're there. And as I said, that interview with Richard O'Raw from last October is there, and it'll give you a kind of a handle on who Steakknife was and all the things that went with him. I just looked at the clock and I thought, mother of God, am I that late? But no, it was different. It was the countdown clock that I was actually looking at. I was supposed to talk to this man. I think he's based up around Nercha. Because PJ Curtis, I think, came across him and passed his name on to me, and we had been in contact, and things just got in the way at a very crazy time recently. But I must try and reconnect with Jody Gallagher. I like the sound. Here's a song that's called Day's Gonna Come.
Day's gonna come when the water runs out and the well runs dry. A man so dumb and fish can't swim and birds can't fly. But what you gonna do when the crops won't grow and the sun won't shine and it's 10 below? You're never gonna say that I told you so, but the day's gonna come. Who you gonna follow when you realize they were all in the wrong? Who can you believe when you know you've been deceived for far too long? You can cover your lips and your ears and your eyes, and you'll hear no, see no, tell no lies. Ain't no way you can ever deny that the day's gonna come. Day's gonna come when the world we know is gonna make us pay all the debt we owe. What a crime, what a sin, but a mess she's in. Yeah, the day's gonna come. And a night so dark it'll scare the brave, and a wind so cold it'll chill the grave, and the master working for the slave. Yeah, the day's gonna come. mercy on me. But you can run, but you can't hide. All the saints and the sinners side by side, waiting for Jesus coming out of the sky. Yeah, the day's gonna come. Nothing left worth fighting for. No more hate, no more fear, no more war. Every bomb, every gun was MIA. Every soldier turned and walked away. I can only hope and pray that the day's gonna come. The day's gonna come when the world we know is gonna make us pay all the debt we owe. What a crime, what a sin, what a mess she's in. Yeah, the day's gonna come. And the night's so dark, it'll scare the brave. And the wind's so cold, it'll chill the grave. And the master working for the slave. Yeah, the day's gonna come. The day's gonna come when the world we know is gonna make us pay all the debt we owe. What a crime, what a sin, what a mess she's in. Yeah, the day's gonna come. What a crime, what a sin, what a mess she's in. Yeah, the day's gonna come.
Okay. I honestly don't know what I'm after doing with the system after it kind of did something weird. After I did something kind of weird to it. But I'm trying to recover that. But, maybe I could bring it in. No, I see I can't do it that way either. Mm-hmm. All right. Apologies for me. I was hoping that I would have that sorted by the time I was back from where I was, the ad break, but that just didn't happen. And now that's happening. I hate that, as the fella says. And I can't go to a commercial break because I seem to have made a hymns of that as well. These things happen, don't they? They do. If I can get rid of that now, I'd be a happy camper. I wonder how I can get rid of that. And you can't see what I'm talking about, which is all fine and dandy as well. So, okay, right. That's that much done. Now, I was trying to see if I can press a button here and make things happen, but it doesn't seem to want to do that for me. I'm going to try one more time and just see if anything will happen. No, just not going to work. Okay. I wonder if I do bring it down here. That's what I might just do. Sorry, I beg your pardon. I spoke to Patrick Lynch a little earlier on. And what I'm trying to do is get that organised and have it back here. And that's not there, so that's okay. We'll move it over here. And when I fired those ads, it was meant to be that I would be listening to Patrick Lynch again, but that just didn't happen. So let's see if we can move him down here and play him from there. Okay, right. So I'm going to do that. This was meant to happen just after a commercial break where I spoke with Patrick Lynch from Tarbert in County Kerry. So let's just press the button and introduce it as I would have introduced it. Recently, a plaque was unveiled in Tarbert in County Kerry to a local woman. Her name was Bridie Wren, who, after working as a local nurse, went on to become a Member of Parliament in Pakistan. Bridie Wren, also known as Jennifer Musa Kaizi, or Mummy Jennifer in Pakistan, was born in Tarmans in Tarbert in 1917. Tarbert Historical and Heritage Society Chairman Patrick Lynch joins me now via Zoom. It's lovely to see you, Patrick, and good to hear from you as well. How are you?
Fine, Joe, yeah.
Great. All good in Tarbert?
All good in Tarbert. The sun is shining and everything is looking good.
I was talking to a Kerry man recently and we were bemoaning the fact that Kerry weren't taking part in the All-Ireland, but were you glued to it to see Armagh's great win recently?
Oh, yes, yeah. And it was nice to see Clare winning the hurling and Armagh winning their second.
Absolutely. This lady that was born not too far away from where you are, her name in the area was Bridie Wren. Tell me about her, if you would, please, Patrick.
Right. Well, I discovered over the last couple of days that I'm a second cousin, once removed.
Really?
Bridie's. Yeah. And there was a huge turnout on Saturday of all the relatives. It nearly filled the square in Tarbert.
Wow.
Sadly, one man was missing, her nephew Tom O'Donnell, and Tom is in hospital, and we send our best wishes to Tom. He's recovering from bout of pneumonia in hospital.
Okay, very good. And tell me about her family and, where they were from and what did they do and all that.
They were small farmers. She was one of 10 children. There was 2 boys and 8 girls. And as I say, she grew up on a small farm in Tarman's Tarbert, to be a small dairy farm, and that kind of thing. So she attended Tarman's National School, and after that, obviously, with a big family of 10, immigration in you can appreciate in the 30s and 40s, there wasn't much doing around Tarbert or the area. So she went to England to train as a nurse. And it was in England that she met Jennifer, or that she met Kazi Musa. Now, Kazi Musa was studying philosophy at Oxford University, and I think Bridie was also attending university as part of her nursing course.
Right.
And there they met and instantly fell in love. And I suppose it certainly was a challenge for, I suppose, both Kazi and Jennifer, as she called herself in England. Obviously, I suppose Bridie mightn't be the appropriate name to have in England. So
right.
they instantly hit it off, and it's. I suppose Kazi had been promised in marriage to somebody in Baluchistan. Baluchistan was one of 4 provinces, the poorest province in Pakistan.
Right.
He was the son of the Khan, the leader in the Qualat district of Pakistan. So I suppose the idea was that he would be married off to somebody who would be selected for him.
Right.
So he decided that himself and Bridie were going to be married. They were married in 1939 and in London, and then they moved back. They decided to move back to Baluchistan. Okay. Which was a big move for Bridie because, it was a total culture shift. She was Catholic. There were so many different religions, but as Bridie said, all religions are the same. They all worship the one God at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. And they moved back to Baluchistan. And there was a son born, Ashraf. He was the only child that they had. And tragically, in the people got to know Bridie when she moved there. She wasn't going to change their culture, and they accepted it. She wasn't going to be changed either. Okay. She refused to wear the burqa, the hijab, and that. So she was a very independent-minded woman, and as I said, tragically in 1956. Kazi was killed in a road traffic accident. So Bridie had a decision then to make. Her son Ashraf was 14 and what to do. And she decided that, she would bring up Ashraf, their son, among his own people and in his own country. So she stayed on in Baluchistan, and she got very involved there in the local community, and the elders and the people there respected her. If there was any problems, they'd come to her. She became more or less the tribal elder, and if there was any problems, they'd come to her, and she'd help sort out whatever problems they had, whether it was with the government of Prime Minister Bhutto or anything between themselves. And they respected her for that and accepted any judgments that she made. So she then proceeded. She developed an ice refrigeration plant in Baluchistan, and she set about developing the local economy and helping in any way she could to develop Baluchistan. Then she decided to run for politics. Now, she joined the National Awami, that was the Freedom Party, still very relevant in Pakistan today. So Pakistan had become independent in 1946. So she decided to enter politics, and then she won a seat in the National Assembly of Pakistan in the 1970s. And took her place representing Baluchistan. And she was always ready to fight the people's cause in Baluchistan and wouldn't take no for an answer on any issue that she pursued.
Tough lady.
She was a very formidable individual. The Soviets had invaded Afghanistan at that stage, right. And in the 1970s, and she decided to take in Afghan refugees. So she still kept in touch with Kerry, and she came and visited her sister in I think it was sometime in the 1980s. Okay. Her sister Margaret O'Donnell in Tarbert, and she had a couple of other sisters that were still living. She had one brother, Sean Ryn. He was still living in Tarbert, and she visited her sisters in Abbeyfield and Newcastle West and that kind of thing.
In all of this time, were the people of Tarmans and around Tarbert, were they aware of the impact that she was making in her the land in which she had chosen to live?
No, I don't think so.
Really?
No. It was. She was kind of low key. She didn't project herself or push herself forward.
Okay.
She was committed to developing the lives of the people in Baluchistan, and that was that.
And how was it that was it just that she started small, as they say, she got involved with the neighbours and then the wider community? As you say, she was helping them to do various things, maybe form filling and maybe plodding through policies and various things like that. And a free-spirited female in, a country like Pakistan to rise so highly, or to become, such a highly respected person, it's kind of unusual, isn't it?
It is, yeah, and especially in that area. You're talking of over 50 or 60 years ago.
Yeah.
And different nowadays, but certainly for a woman especially to embark on that course and to be so independent and free-spirited. And the people respected her for it. She was able to settle disputes. She was respected as one who would give an impartial judgment.
Okay.
And she was seen then as an outsider. So she was able to settle disputes among warring tribes and fictions, and gradually, as I said, they began to respect her, that she was somebody who was going to be for their good.
Now, I know that she passed away in January of 2008, and I think you said that she had been in Parliament for about 30 years, from 1970. So what did she do when she retired? Or did she ever retire?
I don't think she retired. She
really?
wasn't the type of person that would retire.
Yeah.
But I forgot to mention that I think on our visit to Ireland, she had met Jimmy Deanan, who was a government minister, and Dick Spring, I think, who was Minister for Foreign Affairs at the time.
Okay.
Dick Spring was away on holidays and couldn't make the occasion on Saturday, but Jimmy Deanan was there.
Right.
And that, as I say, met and Norma Foley, the Minister for Education, met the Turkish ambassador and their staff and posed at the unveiling of the plaque.
Oh, very good. How did it become known then in the area that she had made such an impact throughout Pakistan?
Well, I think it was. We weren't the first to publicise Bridie Rain. Kerry, there was a couple of documentaries, radio documentaries were done on her.
Okay.
She was there was a book published, Politics in the Kingdom, and she was listed there as an unusual. She didn't contest any elections on Kerry's side, and here was somebody who was contesting elections in Pakistan.
Right.
So that was. So we certainly knew about her, and we were anxious that she should be commemorated in Tarbert. As you know, a prophet is never known or respected in their own land.
That's right.
So we were determined to redress that, and we were delighted to see that we had such a huge turnout, all the relatives and everybody everybody gave such a huge turnout on last Saturday.
When she was buried, there was a big turnout at her funeral as well, wasn't there?
There was, yeah, all the turbaned Baluchistani warriors and all the local people. They turned out in. You have a massive display for her burial in the Kazi, the traditional Kazi burial ground there, and they gave her a great send off. As I said, they all paraded, and all the people from miles around came to pay homage and respect to their leader.
Speaking at the weekend, was it the? It was. I know that there's an Irish embassy in Islamabad, is to be opened in the coming months. But the Pakistani ambassador to Ireland was with you in Tarbert over the weekend, and she spoke very highly, didn't she?
She did, yeah. She spoke very highly, and she mentioned how fearless a woman that Bridie was, and how much she had done in Pakistan. And she was delighted. Actually, it was the embassy of Pakistan in Dublin who had sponsored the plaque.
Okay. Lovely.
Yeah, they agreed to sponsor the plaque. It was in black polished marble, 18 inches by 18 inches, and they sponsored it, and we're on board from the start when we broached the idea to them, because as a small community organisation, we wouldn't have the necessary finance.
Sure.
We just depend on our own local membership and that kind of thing, so we wouldn't have the finance to do a project like that. But they were on board immediately and were liaised with us from the start. They agreed the text and everything that was to go on the flag.
Oh, lovely. And just to say that the ambassador said that in the past decades, the connection between Pakistan and Ireland has grown due to the presence of the growing Pakistani diaspora in Ireland, especially doctors who have diligently contributed to the Irish healthcare system. A tradition, she said, that perhaps began with Mrs. Kazi's work in Pishin, I think is how you pronounce it, in a symbolic way. Nice to link the two things, wasn't it?
It was very nice to link, and we had even a few Pakistanis present. We had Umar from the local takeaway.
All right.
He was up there, yeah. So we had a few Pakistanis present, and they posed for photographs as well with the ambassador, and that's so it's. As I say, it could lead to the start of developments. The Pakistani and Irish flags, they're still both flying over the, and will for some time to come, both fly over the memorial plaque.
No, that's lovely.
In Tarbert.
We have mentioned, in the almost 15 minutes that we're talking, we've mentioned Tarbert quite a lot. For people that don't know where Tarbert is, tell us about it, where it is and what happens there.
All right. Well, I suppose at this stage, most people would know Tarbert from the Shannon Car Ferry. It was opened in 1969, and you can now cross from Kerry to Clare in 20 minutes, and it saves an 80-mile round trip rather than going into Galway or Limerick and up onto Galway. And the Shannon Ferry Company operate 2 ferry boats now, and it's quite busy. They have 2 boats this time of the year, bringing visitors to and from Tarbert. And you have the Tarbert Comprehensive School. We also have the Tarbert Power Station. It was an oil-fired power station that was established in the 1960s. And as I say, hopefully that will be upgraded now, as I say, to a hydrogen power station and that. And as I say, we have the comprehensive school covers pupils from North Kerry and West Limerick. And there's about 400 pupils, I'd say, attending the comprehensive school there and that. And
the population of Tarbert then, what are we looking at?
Sorry?
The population of Tarbert.
Population of Tarbert, I suppose you'll be talking about maybe 1,500.
Okay.
Between the town and countryside, yeah. And
as I mentioned at the introduction, you are the chairman of the Tarbert Historical and Heritage Society. And what's the main? What would be your main focus in that organisation?
Well, I suppose the biggest success we had is that in the Church of Ireland in Tarbert was 100 years old in 2014.
Okay.
Over 100 years old. And, as you know, like most religious dominations now, there's a very small congregation. So we decided to publish a history of the Church of Ireland in Tarbert over that 100 years. And it's a best-selling book. I must say that I had even the reason that it is that it has all genealogical information from about 1775 up to 1914 of all the births and baptisms that were done, and a lot of those births and baptisms were not alone of the Church of Ireland, the Anglican denomination, but also of Catholics. And that book has gone all over the world. In a matter of fact, in the last week, we had two people from Texas, two sisters, tracing their relations. We had people from Australia tracing their relations, and they've sent us nice emails complimenting the book and the amount of research and the amount of work that was in it. And through that book, they were able to, you had in Tarbert, you had a number of Coast Guards, you had a number of people. It was the Southwest. It was the official, I suppose, state for the British forces in Southern Ireland, the maritime forces.
Right.
Tarbert was with its deep water, you had 60 foot at low tide, and the Tarbert estuary of the River Shannon was their main point of embarkation, and you had a number of vessels were stationed there. You had a Coast Guard station, and people, as I say, last week we had two people tracing Noble, and one family were Noble and the other family were Hartleys, and we were able to show where they went to school, Kilnocton Parish School. Brilliant. And trace their history for them, and they were delighted with that. So we've I suppose there isn't a week goes by that we don't get a request for a copy of that book. Right. Which is we still have.
That's brilliant.
So we've done other projects as well. Then we've commemorated other people around the village. Thomas McGreevy was he was wounded in the First World War in France. Okay. He was director of the National Art Gallery of Ireland. He was honoured by the Spanish, French, and Italian governments. Oh. And his house is in Tarbert, and we've put a plaque up there. And we had the Wesleyan Methodist congregation. We've erected a plaque there. The church is no longer there now. But we've erected a plaque to the 14 men from the parish who died in 2 world wars. We've also erected a monument to the people who in the Irish died in 1916 and in the Irish fight for independence. Okay. And we have also sadly commemorating a tragedy which every year on the 15th of August we remember 17 young people from the parish were drowned crossing the River Shannon. Yes. So.
Yeah, and that's been commemorated, of course, annually as well.
So every 15th of August we commemorate those 17 young people, 10 men and 7 women, average age 24, who were drowned crossing the River Shannon.
That's right.
4 from one family, 4 out of one family, and 2 from another family. And,
something like that must decimate a small place like Tarbert, does it?
Oh, it does, yes, yeah. As a matter of fact, I'm doing a historical tour on Saturday at 2:00, and we'll pick up all those points of interest starting below at the Bridewell. And there was 2 big 6-story high store buildings for Tarbert was a great import-export hub before the coming of the railways. So we'll highlight all that on Saturday.
Fantastic. Listen, it sounds like it's a busy place, and you're a busy man by all accounts. I thank you very much for talking to me about Bridie Wren and the fascinating character that she was, and it's great to see her being commemorated in her hometown. And listen, you seem to be doing a lot. You're busy in Tarbert, so thanks a million to Patrick Lynch from the Tarbert Historical and Heritage Society, chairman of said same. Patrick, thanks a million, and look forward to chatting to you again.
Thank you, Ger.
Live on Eire, presented by Ger Sweeney.
Live on Eire is brought to you by the leading property scouts on the Costa del Sol, acting for you, the buyer. Find out more at MarbellaHomeSelectors.com.
you know. When it gets bright out and you're hiding under your pillow. Oh, I got the feeling that I can't help you right now. Oh, I got the feeling and I can't give you my very best. Oh, I got the feeling I can't help you right now. Oh, I got the feeling and I can't give you my very best. Yesterday was easy. Yesterday was nice. You're gonna let an assumption ruin your day. You go from waiting for something to happen, either a feast or a famine. You don't raise your hand if you got nothing to say. When it gets bright out and the birds have come to let you know. Oh, I got the feeling that I can't help you right now. Oh, I got the feeling and I can't give you my very best. Oh, I got the feeling I can't help you right now. Oh, I got the feeling and I can't give you my very best. When it gets bright out and the birds have come to let you know. When it gets bright out and you're hiding under your pillow. Oh, I got the feeling that I can't help you right now. Oh, I got the feeling and I can't give you my very best. Oh, I got the feeling that I can't help you right now. Oh, I got the feeling and I can't give you my very best. My very best.
And he's done already. That's nice, isn't it? It comes from The Academic. It's a song called The Very Best. Thanks again to Patrick Lynch from Tarbert Historical and Heritage Society for talking to me about Bridie Wren. And I'm sorry about the messing that went on before that. As I said, different format with different ad breaks and so on. I thought I had it all nailed down earlier on today, but there was one or two bits I overlooked. And when you overlook something on the computer and the computer says no, that's it, it's no. And pressing buttons and trying to make it better usually just makes it a whole lot worse. So that's what I was trying to do, was not be pressing any buttons, but see how it went. All right, a briefing from Eire, which operates the electricity network in Ireland, warned of a possible mass exodus of data centres from the country if new connection agreements could not be signed off on, if you know what I mean. In the presentation, Eire said that it had been warning of pressures on power supply since as early as 2016 and had escalated the matter to the Minister for Transport in 2021, warning the country had a significant power generation deficit. It said they had good working relationships with technology companies, but were being continually asked about the likelihood of firm plans for new connection agreements. Because of ongoing uncertainty, the briefing warned the big concern is that some of the large data centres decide to exit Ireland, and that in turn leads to a mass exodus, as has happened previously in other technology sectors. Now, this would undermine the government's desire to benefit from the next phase of technological development in the ICT sector in Ireland, AI and all of that, and all that's to come after that. It said that data was a critical 21st century enabler of business and living. That's crucial. And that Ireland needed a credible transition plan, not a shutdown. Eire also said that work needed to be done on deciding which projects were considered critical and whether there should be hierarchy that gives priority to those developments. Their presentation warned as well of the dangers of talk around insisting that data centres were zero carbon to help combat climate change. Saying that data centres must be zero carbon is equivalent to saying that Dublin Airport can grow passenger numbers if they use zero carbon aircraft, it said. No such proposition exists in this day. It said that the best choice was to work with operators that were innovative and committed to low carbon and prepared to be flexible. EirGrid said that they should look for data centre developers that understand the near-term constraints. These constraints on Ireland's energy supplies, but still wanted reasonable certainty to plan for future growth. It recommended a future strategy take account of the importance of specific projects and allow developers to synchronise work with already planned additions to the national grid. It said the state should also seek to remove the potential for speculation and recognise the reality of a transition period between low carbon and zero carbon grid. The presentation was shared with the IDA in October of last year amid ongoing controversy and discussions over the scale of data centre development in Ireland. Asked about its contents, a spokesperson for EirGrid said that their responsibility was for a safe, secure and reliable supply of electricity now and in the future. The spokesperson said, "We recognise that electricity supply is only one consideration in getting large energy user connection policy, which requires a holistic and plan-led approach taking account of all challenges and opportunities." The spokesperson added that in regards to future connections, while EirGrid participates in calls to support policy development, the connection of large energy users to the transmission system is currently aligned and will in future continue to align with relevant direction from the CRU, that's the Commission for Regulation of Utilities. EirGrid acts as as directed in this area, is what the spokesperson said. So there you have it. Yes, I've mentioned before that I was undecided about data centres, but I think they're kind of needed now, aren't they?
Long time ago, older men were animals.
It's all about the Bogs this evening, isn't it? That's a band called the Bog Bodies. I Caught Her Eye is the name of the song. I didn't even know she threw it. Singer-songwriter Dan Maher is the man behind that. And quite an interesting sound. Interesting sound. We'll leave it at that. I enjoyed it immensely. Hope you did as well. A couple of things to say to you. We're at the end of the programme. If you've just tuned in to hear the second hour of the programme, well, the second hour is just about to end because because the programme started at 6 p.m. Central European time this evening, and will do for the next 3 weeks as well. Next week, I've got a fabulous choir for you to meet. I travelled all the way to Timahoe in County Laois to meet with these men about 3 weeks ago. I mentioned that to you, and next week you're going to hear from them on the programme. It's a piece that I've already recorded. It's in the can, as they say. But I'm also going to be talking to an author of a wonderful book, a man called Dan Lawton, and a very interesting character. Looking forward to the conversation with him. Over the next couple of weeks, there are a number of books that are going to feature, and I'm trying to avoid the programme becoming a book show. And so when I talk to, sometimes I get books. I get a lot of books in the post to read and to interview the authors. And so I try and find a way. And it's not necessarily the book that we want to talk about. It's about the subject matter. And that's the angle I will always try and take on it. So there is an author next week on the programme, and for the next couple of weeks we have a couple of authors lined up as well. One of those, as you know, is David Burke. I mentioned that to you, but that's not next week. So no, anyway, what have I got to do? I've got to say thank you to my guests who are with me today. Patricia, thank you very much, Patricia Traynor, for starting a new series on hidden treasures, and today we dealt with the Boglands. And Patrick Lynch. Thanks, Patrick, from the Tarbert Historical and Heritage Society, for talking to me about Bridie Wren. Thank you, as always, to our Spanish-Irish cultural advisor on the programme, Antonio Sierra, for the work that he does on the programme, not on a weekly basis, but on a daily basis. Thanks a million, and I hope that you're having a nice summer, Antonio. Thank you very much for listening. As always, if you'd like to get in contact, you're more than welcome. My email address is ger@tre.radio. If you'd like to get in contact, I look forward to your company on Friday, if you're available between 2 and 4. If not, I'll see you next week.
You've been listening to a TRE production. If you've enjoyed this programme, there'll be another episode waiting for you next week, right here on this platform, where you can also access our extensive back catalogue of shows and interviews. For more information on our live programming, social media channels and apps, and how to contact Talk Radio Europe, please visit tre.radio.